Well, hello and welcome to the Informed Traveler Podcast, a weekly travel podcast where our goal is to help you become a more informed traveler. And I'm your host, Randy Sharman. The term overtourism has been used quite a bit recently in the travel industry. And according to some, it's leading to another term called tourism-phobia, where locals are blaming tourists for their deteriorating quality of life. And it's causing a rise in social unrest and tourism rejection. So in a few seconds, travel expert Onanta Forbes will join us to discuss some of the destinations where there's been an increase in anti-tourism. But Japan apparently isn't one of those places. So also this week, we'll talk about cycling tours in Japan with a company called Cycle Japan. And Ken Stewart from Crowfoot Travel Solutions will be along to give us a few destination ideas and travel deals with our weekly roundup. But first, let's kick things off chatting with travel expert Onanta Forbes, who joins us each week to discuss some of the travel news and travel trends. You can follow her adventures on Instagram, Facebook, and X at Onanta Forbes. OnantaForbes.com is her website. Hi, Onanta.
Hi, Randy. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Interesting things going on in the travel industry. I'm going to call it anti-tourism, but there's another term for it called tourism-phobia. How would you define it?
It's amazing. With everybody wanting to travel and then to find out that there might be a pushback to the destination that you're going and maybe they really don't want us to be there. Surprising. It's an interesting topic because right now we're the end of Stampede in Calgary and we're overrun by tourists.
Well, that is true. I was thinking about that as I was sitting in traffic the other day. That's just the thing. And we don't have to put up with it all year long. It's just one of those things. And it's probably a reason why a lot of people during Stampede in Calgary leave Calgary for that very reason. So I guess there is some sort of pushback, but we don't spray water at tourists like the story in Barcelona that I saw where protesters were spraying tourists with water pistols. And there is this sort of contradiction. On the one hand, you have destinations saying, yes, please come visit us. We need the money. And then on the other hand, the locals are saying, hold on a second here, right?
Mm-hmm. And it's not that far away from home because even in Alaska during cruise season, Juneau, for an example, they had over the weekend a vote about maybe not having cruise ships in on Saturdays. So it is definitely the official definition of tourism phobia is a fear, aversion, or social rejection that local citizens in a destination feel towards tourism. And they're just, the locals are getting fed up with housing shortages, traffic, noise, pollution, litter. And a number of iconic destinations in Europe have become unlivable for local residents and overcrowded. They feel unsafe, uncomfortable, and they're swapping their come to tourism campaigns for tourist go home strategies because it does put pressure on their health system, their waste management, housing. So it is a real, I guess, situation that we have to recognize. And you're seeing lots of places that are overrun by tourism and that are demanding controls. And that includes the Canary Islands, Venice, Barcelona, Santorini, Dubrovnik, just to name a few. And in those areas, they do have widespread graffiti messages or signs and posters by locals, saying that something is closed or it's not safe to go swimming, but it really is. I think sometimes they even have small print at the bottom in the local language to the tourists. Yeah, it really is safe, but we just don't want the tourists here. So lots of anti-tourism sentiment that's growing stronger and stronger. And it's not just like the signs, like say for an example, they're affecting like Airbnbs. As far as banning, like Florence has banned short-term rentals in the historic center for Airbnbs. and they've introduced, like Venice has introduced a €5 fee to enter on peak weekends and other days between April and mid-July. So you do have to, as a cruiser, because Italy is a popular destination. Venice is definitely a place that they want to go see. You kind of have to be aware of that there is going to be a fee that you are going to have to pay. And talking further about Venice, they don't even they have been barring large cruise ships from anchoring. Mm-hmm. In its historic center. So you have to go to Ravenna and then take a 2-hour bus journey in. And if you're only there for a day, that takes up a lot of your day for that excursion, right?
Well, it's interesting to take on Airbnb. I've never been an Airbnb person. And now there's even like New York State, for example, as putting restrictions on Airbnbs because it lessens the supply of housing, like apartments. Mm-hmm. And so it increases the price of rents and homes, right? And we all know about, it seems like everywhere the prices of homes and rents is skyrocketing. So that's one example of even some people saying, don't rent an Airbnb, and there's almost this myth about living like a local. Well, if you're living like a local, you're putting a strain on other things like you were saying, even transportation and things like that, right?
Mm-hmm, absolutely. And, even events such as like the 2024 Olympics in Paris, if you're even in and around that area, you're going to see a huge tourist tax on the hotel rooms. Like they've increased like almost 200%. So it is they're definitely pushing back in the cost of your travel budget. So you have to be aware of that, especially when you are booking, because nowhere now is cheap. Like I know we have clients that come in and say, "Oh, we want just a cheap destination, a cheap getaway." Yeah. Unfortunately, I think a staycation might be that instead of going away, and which is not a bad idea in the long run too sometimes. But it is something that you have to be aware of with regards to either you're going to be discouraged in a very forthright manner not to come to these destinations, or you're going to have to pay for it with regards to fees on your hotels, or even with regards to fines. Like, for example, in Portugal, you can have an antisocial behavior fee of like playing loud music or campsites or camping outside of campsites, like from €200 up to €36,000. Who can afford that?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So you do have to, be, show good sense and have manners, because you are visiting somebody's home in a sense, like as far as drunk behaviors or sleeping in public areas and such. So it can be punishable by high fines and depending on how bad your behavior is, jail sentences.
Mm-hmm. Well, and we've discussed this in the past when you were doing your long stay in Mexico. Just in general, the price of things have gone up, and that's part of the reason is expats, people moving in, they do have a little bit more money to spend, and so they're willing to pay the higher prices, and so it affects the locals that have been there for years. That used to be, and I don't like to use the word cheap, inexpensive place to go to visit.
Yes, and you definitely find that there's a destination you think, oh, it'll be cheap and cheerful, but it's not. And it does affect, it just affects the cost of living in a sense where nobody wins. Like, everybody has to pay that higher cost.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever lived in a resort town?
I have not.
I lived in Kenora, Ontario, which is a resort area for most people come from Manitoba for the summer.
Yeah.
So in the winter, it's maybe, I don't know, and it's 1,000 people live there, for example, and then it will balloon to 10,000 people in the summertime. And so my point about this is about tourists being jerks. And I've seen my fair share of people that simply just don't behave themselves, and they forget that you are a guest in their destination, and you should behave accordingly. And I don't think that most destinations are saying tourists stay away for good. Just when you are here, behave yourself, and maybe a limited amount might be better.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, we've been talking about how bad behavior affects costs, but I do want to share a good behavior story, because in Copenhagen, they are incentivizing people who demonstrate climate-friendly travel behavior by participating in like the city's green initiatives, like including cycling, train travel, cleanup efforts, and they'll be granted access to museum tours, free meals, kayak rentals. So they're using a different approach to close that gap and change how travelers travel in a destination, while also trying to combat over-tourism.
And we can't forget, it depends on in the tourism economy where you land. If you're a shopkeeper or a hotel person or a restaurant person, you want to welcome the tourists. And if you're not involved with those industries, you're probably on the other side of the coin, shooting them with water pistols.
Well, that's it. And because consider, like, a lot of tourist destinations are limited seasonal time frame. So they're looking to make money to carry them over the winter season, right? Where there's nothing.
Well, absolutely. And Alaska is a good example of that. And, I always think for every person that says, no, don't come here, there's always another area that will welcome you with open arms. So,
and that's true. So, you were talking about Alaska, but it affects other regions, not only that cruise destination or that cruise port, too. So there is a spillover effect to that revenue source.
So in the end, what's for tourists? I think the thing is, you do your homework as always, and don't be a jerk when you're traveling, right?
Yeah, be respectful of the communities that you are visiting, because it's a privilege to travel. To me, it is, and I really appreciate the opportunity to go to these destinations, because you see different, places in the world that are very challenged with war or other, economic situations, that they don't have the opportunity to travel. So I'm very grateful to be able to go to different places. So we want to be respectful of where we go and contribute to the economy in a positive manner.
You and I both. Onanta Forbes is a travel expert. You can follow her adventures on Instagram, Facebook, and X at Onanta Forbes. OnantaForbes.com is her website. Always great to chat, Onanta. Thank you.
Take care. Have a good week.
Well, cycling tours have grown in popularity over the years, and so has the number of destinations where cycling tours are offered. And that includes Japan. So if you have an interest in cycling and visiting Japan, there's a company that can help you out called Cycle Japan. So joining us now is one of the co-founders and operator of Cycle Japan, Shelly Hayashi. Their website is ocyclejapan.com. Hi, Shelly.
Hello, Randy. How are you today?
I'm well, thank you. I'm excited to hear about Cycle Japan. Tell me how it came about and how you got involved.
Yeah, so my husband's from Japan, and we actually met in Japan over 26 years ago, and we started dating through biking. So we moved to Canada and raised our children, and we were looking for a way to spend more time again in Japan. And also something where we could share with other people our love of Japan. We have a lot of friends who do a lot of cycling trips around the world. And we thought, well, there's not a lot of that in Japan, so maybe we'll try that. And so it was born. So it's been over a year now.
Awesome. So how popular is cycling in Japan? I'm coming from someone that's never been. And so is it more popular? Has it always been popular? I guess it has been since you're avid cyclists and you're experts on Japan.
Yeah. So it's interesting because there's tons of cyclists in Japan. So everybody bikes to the train station to get groceries around their neighborhood. From little kids are on their parents' bikes going to school and preschool and to grab the groceries. So it's a very bike culture overall. But biking for leisure is a little bit different. So it's kind of very popular from day to day. But because they do it every day for chores, it doesn't have a huge leisure cycling. It's just kind of starting to pick up.
It's a mode of transportation rather than, I guess, a way of getting some exercise
Exactly,
or a hobby type thing, right?
Yeah.
So tell me about the tours now. What's a basic tour include?
Yeah, so our initial tour is 8 nights, 7 days with 6 days of cycling. That includes the accommodation. So we go to a different location every day. All of the breakfasts are included, the bike rental. We transport the luggage from place to place. And then we also have 2 locations where dinner's included. And a custom jersey. My husband's an artist, so he's designed a really fun jersey for it as well.
Now, do I have to be a serious cyclist? Like, how much cycling is involved?
Yeah, so I would call it a little bit like somebody has described it as a soft adventure. So if you're an avid road cyclist and you're doing, 100 kilometers a day, you might find this a little bit slower paced. If you're, a weekend warrior cyclist and you want to do something a little bit of a challenge, this is probably perfect for you. So we've had guests who, have ride on the weekends, but wanted to try this, and they did great. It was a little bit of a stretch for them, but totally doable.
Nice. Well, that I would be included in the person that's not really a hardcore cyclist, so I wouldn't be intimidated by this then.
No, you'd be working hard, but you definitely wouldn't be intimidated.
Now, are there stops along the way? How much cycling per day is involved? How do you break it up?
Yeah, so ours is a little bit unique from some of the tours that other people do where they're going from place to place. And then once you get to your destination, you're sightseeing. Whereas ours has a lot of stops along the way. And there's tons of stops. So you can stop as often or as little as you want. There's places like shrines, temples, castles, museums, so many things to see along the way. So it really does break it up for the guests. And delicious like lunch stops and quaint little restaurants as well. So it's really quite fun.
How many people would be in a typical tour? Is it if it was just a couple or a group? How does that work?
Yeah, so they're self-guided tours. So the route map and cycling computer is given to the guest and how to use it at the orientation. And so you can ride, we recommend to at least with yourself and a friend or a partner, just for safety in case anything were to happen. We are on the ground, but we'll have no more than 8 at any one session, just so that we can ensure that we can service anybody who needs help.
Now, is it the same tour, or do you offer different tours? How does it work? Or can I sort of set up my own tour?
Yeah. So to start, we have a tour that we've curated, and it's just a one tour at this time, and then we'll look to kind of expand and change it as we go forward. If you're interested in doing your own tour, we do have partners where we rent our bikes from, and they kind of do more of that specialty tour setup, if that was something that you're interested in.
And you supply the bikes. I don't have to.
Yeah, we'll make sure you have a bike
where I'm coming from.
Yeah, we have hybrid bikes that are really comfortable for kind of this type of riding, but we do offer also road bikes or e-bikes if that's more of what you're looking for.
Now, if this is a self-guided tour, what about some of the sites I'm going to see, that sort of thing? Are they set up? Are they pre-planned? So I don't have to worry about, I don't know, crowds, tickets to see any type of, I don't know, museums or things like that?
Yeah, so all of the locations, the tour goes right like into the parking lot or right past the sites that you can stop to visit. Any of them that need admission, none of them need pre-reservation. So the great thing about doing it at your own pace, you don't have to worry about being there at a certain time. There's a couple that if you want to get to, we let guests know the closing time so that you can kind of manage if you do want to see that site, make sure that you're there by X time. But as far as reservations before, none of the locations need them. And we also kind of provide a guide of like, hey, this is a very busy place. Please be aware, provide this much time if you want to stop there, that type of thing.
Mm-hmm. So how did you decide on the route based on what? Some of the sites that people will see, maybe some stops for eats, that kind of thing?
So there's a couple of ways we picked the first tour. One, it's in my husband's backyard, so it's in the area where he grew up. So he really is familiar with the area. It's also very historical in the Osaka Kansai region. So it used to be the capital of Japan before it moved to Tokyo. It has 2 of the 3 locations in Japan that have never been impacted by wars. So they've never had any destruction from any previous wars. So Nara and Kyoto are 2 of the 3 regions in Japan that haven't been impacted. So the history and the buildings are quite unique in those areas. So that was one of the things we wanted to include as well. And the rich, fun history of the samurai and the ninjas is really deep in this region.
Mm-hmm. So if I'm with a group of other people that I may not know, can I go at my own pace? That sort of thing, or do we sort of have to stick together? And if it's self-guided, obviously someone's going to take the lead.
Yeah, everybody has their own cycling computer. So what we've seen in the past is everybody kind of goes their own pace. So what was interesting is people will run into each other at different locations from time to time, or end up at the same lunch venue. We have a variety of like lunch venues and sites that you can do along the way. So definitely at your own pace. So some people really like to rush up those, if there's a little bit of an incline, and other people just want to go at their nice leisurely pace. Mm-hmm. So whatever's good for you, you don't have to go along with the group.
Talk about the accommodations. Where would I be staying?
Yeah, so the accommodations is a wide range from like a regular Western style hotel to a traditional Japanese rokan, which is a hotel that where you'd wear a cotton kimono robe around the hotel, serves breakfast and dinner, and has a public bath in the hotel as well called an onsen. A little bit of everything.
We got to talk about the food too. What are some of the places you mentioned? A couple of dinners are included. What's the highlights there?
Yeah, so one of the evenings is on the ocean side in the Wakayama prefecture. And you're right along the ocean. And of course, seafood is very popular in Japan, but especially in this region. So the hotel is a little bit remote, just outside of the main city. And you have this amazing spread of dinner that includes roasted pork that's grown in the region, tons of fresh sashimi, raw fish. You have some cooked fish, local pickled plums, like that is just all local region. And you can barely finish it. It's so much and so delicious. So that's definitely one of my favorite places to eat.
Nice. So what do I need to know as a cyclist in Japan? I'm sure the rules are a little bit different than in North America.
Yeah. So one of the main things to consider is they actually drive on the left side of the road. So that's the most important thing to remember when cycling in Japan. It is very bike friendly because they do bike all the time, that they're very conscious of bike cyclists. So it is feel quite safe that way, but they have a lot of narrow, small roads. So you do have to be aware all the time of other traffic from other directions. And they also have a lot of mirrors. So when they have cross sections, because there is a lot of hidden corners. They have these really nice big mirrors to help you see, and that can be really handy as well.
Nice. Well, if people want more information, they can go on their website. Obviously, it's a well done website. Answers a lot of questions. Cycle Japan is the company. ocyclejapan.com is the website. Any last words of advice, Shelley?
Well, I'd sign up for our newsletter because we have some exciting promotions coming up soon. And more information about Japan, even if you're not a cyclist. Check out the website just to give you more information of things to do and the great food and fun in Japan.
Mm-hmm. I think it would be a fun way to explore Japan. Shelley Hayashi is the co-owner and operator of Cycle Japan. Again, that website, ocyclejapan.com is the website. Thanks for the insight, Shelley. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having us on, Randy. We really appreciate it. We really love your show.
This is the Informed Traveler Podcast. I'm Randy Sharman. Just want to remind you of our website, theinformedtraveler.org. That's where you can find our contact page if you have any questions or comments about the podcast. You can also email me, too, with any questions you might have. My email address is randy@theinformedtraveler.org. And if you want to get up-to-date travel info through the week or just see a few amusing travel stories and links, you can like us on Facebook at facebook.com/informedtraveler. On Instagram at Informed Traveler, or you can follow me on X at Informed Traveler. So now, as always, we'd like to end the show with our weekly roundup, and joining us to do that is Ken Stewart from Crowfoot Travel Solutions. Good day, sir. Tell us about how your week has been.
It's been really, really good. And like I say, fantastic weather, still summertime, and maybe not really thinking about winter. But we keep preaching that if you're thinking about getting away this fall or winter, it's time to start checking it out and have conversations to see what options and availability is like. If you haven't done anything yet, strong sales for next year already from what we're seeing from the suppliers, as well as just talking to other agents at little events and everything we're getting to. So, and again, they've already been selling for a few months. And again, another great option to consider if you've got the time, long stays. Lots of long stays in Europe, Southeast Asia, and especially with the difference in exchange with the U.S. dollar. If you're one of those snowbirds that haven't go down there all the time, check out one of these. You'll find how much farther your dollar goes, and you're going to have the same nice weather and everything like that there. Viking Ocean Cruises came up with their world cruise offer this month for late 2024, and they've got a couple sailings in 2025. So you can sail from Fort Lauderdale, ending up in London, England. Heading east all the way, 138 days,
Wow.
29 countries, 6 continents. If that's too long for you, we can shorten it a little bit. You can start in Los Angeles and end in London still, 121 days, 25 countries, 5 continents. Right now, they've got the free business class airfare with transfers, free stateroom upgrade, all kinds of special fares, $2,000 onboard credit. If you're a Viking Society member, they're going to give you an extra $1,000. They're going to look after all the visas. You get a Silver Spears beverage package, Wi-Fi, and more. And again, that's on for the month, so you have to get yourself locked in by July 31st.
That would be something. And I would think after 138 days, you'd have your sea legs by then.
Oh, 100%. And again, pretty much everything's all looked after out there. Laundry service, all that kind of stuff. So again, it's like kind of like staying in a floating apartment for a few months.
Yeah, well, that's exactly it. Seeing a new destination every day.
I guess we could call this a long stay too, then.
Yeah.
Windstar Cruises are sailing ships and yachts. Good friends of ours, due to popularity, they've extended their complimentary all-inclusive fare offer until September of 2024. So you book your new cruise, departing now through March 25th, and you get the complimentary all-inclusive package. And that includes your Wi-Fi, unlimited beer, wine, cocktails, all gratuities, And then they're going to throw in a few extra bonuses. Everybody's giving us a little extra nowadays. Double yacht member discounts of 10% on voyages that depart through March 2025 and reduced deposits on the remaining 2024 sailings.
It's because everybody's looking for little extras nowadays.
Exactly. And they're also celebrating Christmas in July, starting July 17th to the 31st. So enjoy a complimentary upgrade to their all-inclusive fares on their European cruises. Sailing through March of 2025. Again, the complimentary Wi-Fi, unlimited beer, wine, cocktails, all over duties. And they're adding, again, a few extra bonuses on these ones. So an onboard credit of up to $500 per guest.
Wow.
And again, that double discount of 10% for Yacht Club members if you've sailed before. And again, reduced deposits on all the 2024 sailings. So, again, a couple options.
I always like the complimentary Wi-Fi because the Wi-Fi is very expensive on a
It's
cruise.
important. It's important. And the good thing is that with technology and everything, everybody's getting better and better and better at it. So, again, even the cruise lines who used to be notorious for terrible Wi-Fi are getting much better.
They are, exactly.
Holland America, once you discover Alaska, Europe, or Canada, maybe New England, right now they've got free paid crew appreciation, so gratuities, shore excursions, especially dining on their elite beverage package, premium Wi-Fi. Oh, there we go. Plus a lot more when you got their low price guarantee. They're going to ensure that you get the best fare regardless of when you book. So, I mean, that's always a nice thing to feel comfortable that, hey, I'm booking now, but maybe it's going to go down or it's going to get cheaper. That you're locked in or whatever the best fare is whenever and prior to your final payment. So, great option.
I love Holland America. And you know that the New England Eastern Canada cruise is amazing in the fall.
It is. And it's easy for us to get to, right? I mean, just a short haul out to the there with direct flights here with WestJet and Air Canada to get you out there. And even Porter now are going to some of those destinations. So, again, we've got lots of opportunities to get you out there, get you to do that.
Okay.
Air Canada Vacations still has some less space for fall in Europe. Great time to go, less crowds, still usually great weather. And one they threw out this week was Italy 10 nights, including your air transfers in Rome, 10 nights of accommodation, 10 breakfasts, and a lunch. And you're going to hit a few cities with the high-speed train from Rome to Florence, and then spend a couple of days there, Florence over to Venice, then Venice to Naples, and then back to Rome. And included in some of the excursions that they're throwing in, we've got hop-on, hop-off buses, and I love doing those when you're in different places.
Those are great. I love those too. They're really great.
I mean, you can hit all the highlights if you just want to sit on there and take a tour of the city, and then just pick and choose the ones that you want to stop and get off at, spend as much time as you want, get back on, away you go. Love them.
Yeah.
Love them. Also throwing in a day trip along the Amalfi Coast. Beautiful country there. And all from only $32.59 per person. And this date they gave us for this one is October 21st, but I'm sure we can look at other dates.
Wow.
But when you throw all that in there, the $32.59, that's really a pretty good price because a good chunk of that's going to be your airfare just to get over there.
That is for sure. Amazing.
And like yourself, if you've already got Aeroplan points, you get Aeroplan points on all your flights.
Woohoo!
And if you've got a lot of points you want to get rid of, again, convert them to gift cards and use them as a payment for this trip.
Woo! Double woohoo!
Woo! And again, I talk a lot. It's, again, still doing more and more of these. Once I have a conversation with a lot of our clients, you got a large family between brothers and sisters, or combine your 10 plus people. I know your family and my family are pretty close to our 10. Ask your travel agent. You should be looking for a group rate. Lots of multi-generational family travel. 10 people isn't hard to find when you're putting grandma and grandpa in there or whatever. Maybe it's your favorite friends. And it can be any kind of trip. It can be an all-inclusive, like the one we just mentioned into Italy. You could do a cruise. Maybe you want to do some adventure travel, Costa Rica, Africa, river cruise in Europe, boat or a bike trip if you're into cycling. Again, whatever your groups like are, give us a shout and we can have a conversation, maybe set up a great group. And again, we've got actually probably between all my agents, I'd say we've got at least 10 or 12 regular group bookings now where these guys are all traveling. Some of them cruise and some of them are doing Europe and stuff like that. And they all travel together every at least once a year.
Nice.
And so it's a great way to go. Yeah.
You can
And
do
right now, Air Canada Vacations, our friends over there, are offering an extra $200 a person off any group sun destination package booked by the end of August. So round up your family and friends and have a conversation. Give us a call.
You could do a group rate with your agents.
You betcha. We could. I don't know who'd do the work, though, but and just a quick reminder, the online pricing is almost identical to what any agent can find for you. Not only can we assist you before, help with some suggestions, ask you some questions you might not think of, assist during your trip if you have issues, and if necessary after the trip when you get back. Kind of booking online, nothing wrong with it. Again, we're doing it pretty much, but again, you're essentially dealing with another travel agent when you're doing it yourself online, but you got no personalized service, can't have any conversations, and you're looking after everything yourself. So if you have any issues, a good example was the WestJet, a little bit debacle a couple of weeks back when they had their maintenance people on time. Hopefully you didn't have to look after it yourself. And if you've never used a real life travel agent, try one out. And you might see how easy the process is and how much more enjoyable the end of your vacation is.
Like I always say, time is money, and an agent will save you a lot of time.
Exactly.
How do people get a hold of you?
If you're in Calgary, you can call us at 403-241-7140. And outside Calgary, please call us toll free, 1-877-511-5511. Then you too can relax. It's all taken care of.
Indeed, sir.
Have a great week, everyone.
And that is our show for this week. If you have comments or questions, we'd love to hear from you. If you have a show idea, send that along as well. My email is randy@theinformedtraveler.org. And if you like what you heard, tell a friend. You can check out our website too at theinformedtraveler.org. In the meantime, thanks for listening, travel safe, and be an informed traveler.